Okay, I have the distinct privilege of introducing our guest speaker, Dr. Alonzo Kelly. I didn't tell him this yet, but first of all, I had the opportunity to talk with him about speaking, and he's the coolest person ever. So I got on his calendar once a month to talk to him because it made me feel so good. So, and then I didn't tell him when I was so excited to tell Brett that he said, hey, I can speak, I'm excited about it, and I'm just 30 miles down the road from you. And I said, Brett, Alfonso's gonna come and speak. And he's like, who? I'm like, Alfonso. He goes, Sue, Alonzo. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now what? So anyway, I called you a couple different names, but so this guy is amazing. He's a dynamic executive coach, professor, 3-time best-selling author, a radio host. He's gained international and global recognition, attention, and a premier consultant and strategist. Alonzo is recognized as one of the nation's leading experts on leadership development, strategic thinking, planning, and acting, which results in individual and organizational goal achievement. He has appeared on America's Premier Experts, which airs on major networks across the country, including ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. He's also served over 1,000 individuals through personal and professional development, delivered trainings to a plethora of Fortune 500 companies, colleges, universities, foreign countries in the Netherlands, Belgium, Canada, Guam. I'm really getting tired, aren't you? He's a busy man. Nonprofit organizations like the Y, and is constantly retained to be the keynote speaker in large and small events across the country. He holds a bachelor's in accounting, 3 master's degrees. Yep, Sharon, she's one of your friends. Public administration, human resource and labor relations, and business administration. And an honorary PhD in business and entrepreneurship. He is currently in the process of earning his 2nd doctorate in business administration. He has no time to sleep. He serves on the National Board of Directors for the ACLU, representing the state of Wisconsin, the Fire and Police Commission for the city of Howard, and Board of Directors for Family Services of Brown County. And he also got the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. So just a little bit about him. And please welcome Alonzo.
What's cracking, family? Was that weird, or are we going like...
I think I got to turn that mic off. Sorry.
What if I said no?
Well, do you have that one on?
I don't know.
They told me not to.
I'm just happy to be here.
Is that good?
I don't know. How am I doing in the back? We good? Yeah. All right, so let's do this for real. I'm a mama's boy, and how I came out the gate, mama would not be okay with. So I just jumped in like we're family, and mama would say that's not okay if I don't ask your permission. So, do I have your permission to do this like family for an hour, or do you want the I got you for an hour in a PowerPoint version? Family? All right, yeah, let's do that, because we about 45 minutes past my bedtime. Quit playing. Am I the only one who's like ready to go to sleep right now? Okay, y'all my people. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're not going to make it weird. Like Mama would say, it's weird till it's not weird. So let's not make it weird. This is how I'm going to age this room. Would you sing a song with me? Yeah? Okay, so this is what I need you to do. Just give yourself permission to sing the part you know. You ready? All right, let's see. Let's do just sit right back. The skipper brave and sure, 5 passengers that sailed that day. A 3-hour tour. A what? A 3-hour tour. Sound effects. The weather started getting rough. The tiny ship was tossed Say what? This uncharted desert isle. Who else was there? And who else was there? And all right, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. We got something for all generations right now because I see y'all laughing at me. So if you could just hit me with the opening theme song to The Simpsons. It was only 2 words, man. The Simpsons. All right. So why do I do that? Why do I do that? It has been my experience that I think everybody in this room understands this about fitness, right? Sometimes you got to shock the muscle, right? Sometimes I think you got to shock the brain. In my spaces, I do my best work in spaces where I feel safe. Not physically afraid of you. I'm from Detroit. I just want to see who has something slick to say about that. Listen. I live in Swamico, where they think I'm a Packer. We're not going to make it weird, right? But, I mean, if you 6'3", 260-pound, athletically built black man in Swamico, what do they think you do for a living? Like, can a brother read? I don't walk around hitting people, right? And so I appreciate my relationship with the Y in my community because all the staff half the time are running around like, y'all can stop watching him, he's not on the team. Like, right? And then, because we can be family, right? You know, like everybody say funny till it's not funny. If I were a Packer, do you know how offensive it is for me to think you think I'm that bad that I couldn't afford to leave when the season was over? What am I still doing here, man? All right. So this is what I want. I want for about an hour, I want everybody to give themselves permission to laugh at and with whatever. I want people to give themselves permission to not know everything. And I want you to give yourself permission, like for an hour, to not be humble about how amazing you are. Is that weird for me to say, I think you should love you some you sometimes and take a bow sometimes and celebrate sometimes, because I know people have no idea what it took for you to get through that day without like hurting somebody. I think you need to give yourself some credit for that, right? So as of May 13th of this year, it will have been 13 years since I argued with another human being. I am keeping track. I know you should not self-diagnose. I have self-diagnosed. If I argue with you, I'm going to die. And I like living. So there is a trick to that I'd like to introduce everybody to. Unless you like arguing with people, then this part's not for you. Okay? There's a trick to it. In my space, I actually want you to be right. I want you to be right. I'm not interested in arguing about who's right or wrong. I want you to be right. So I will set you up to be right. Here's how I ask questions of people. What has your experience been? Or what is your understanding? You do understand no matter what I ask you next, no matter what your answer is, you're right. If I ask, what's your experience been with that? Your experience is your experience. And anybody who argues with you about your experience and you stay in the argument, I'm looking at you funny. Or what is your understanding of that? You understand it how you understand it, right? So mama, like for example, if mama said, man, what's your understanding of 1 + 1? And I said 3. This is what mama would say. She'd say, man, if that's how you understand it, you're not wrong. It's just incomplete. If that's how you understand it, you're not wrong. It's just incomplete. Okay? So I want us to have a little fun with that. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to set you up to be right. I want you to give yourself permission to not answer it in the first 2 seconds. Give yourself permission to think about it. I do not understand why people walk around acting like they're on a game show. You ever ask someone a question and then they already started answering it and the question's not done? There's no prize coming. Right? Just let me ask it. Give yourself permission to not say anything. Okay? And so I'm going to ask you a question. Give yourself permission to take 2 seconds. And then look at your neighbor and then share your answer. For everybody's safety, will you please start your answer with, "This is my understanding." Okay, you ready? Here we go. What is your understanding of what it means to have a disability? No Google, no dictionary. Just tell the person next to you, here's how I understand it, and here's how I'm going to get you back. I'm just going to stand up here and freak out, because I don't yell at people. And so if you see me freaking out and your neighbor's still talking, can you say, "Alonzo needs us back, he's freaking out"? Okay? You ready? Here we go. Everybody take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. What is your understanding of what it means to have a disability? Go. Here's the beauty. No matter what you told your neighbor, you're right. I'm going to step out of character just for a second. Can you appreciate the difference in how it would feel if I stood up here and said, "What's a disability?" It makes you feel like there's a right and a wrong. And if you're not comfortable with your answer, you either won't participate, or if it's not safe for you to not know, you're going to go give some random answer not knowing I didn't know either. So now I'm using your answer as the definition. So I could have said, "What's a disability?" Or I could ask, like, "What's your understanding of it?" And now no matter what you said, you're right? So however you answered it, you're right. So where I'm from, I'm not comfortable speaking on other people's behalf. And if I ever have to do it, I'm going to be super explicit about it. So where I'm from, city of Detroit, east side proper, zip code 48213 on the block of Olympia. If anybody in this room came walking down that street, I know none of y'all live there. So this is how we introduce ourselves to people we've never met, where I'm from. I'd walk up to you and I go, "Hey, what's up? I'm Alonzo. What's your government name?" Why might I ask what your government name is out the gate? Because where I'm from, everybody's got this nickname that, are we family, like for real family? Like we're not going to make a weird family? Okay, like I'm a grown ass man. I'm not calling you Sugar Ray Ray Smacks, bro. Like out the gate. Not doing it. Right? I'm not doing it. So right out the gate, we're going to bypass the nickname you won't let go. I'm Alonzo. What's your government name? Right? So that's how we introduce each other to strangers. So I'm going to do my best to do this with a straight face. Then let's assume then that makes the government the authority on all things right. So I ask you, what is your understanding of a disability? However you understand it, you're right. So what the government say? Government says you are considered to be disabled if you are unable to perform normal, everyday activity without an accommodation. Unable to perform normal, everyday activity without an accommodation. Real quick, am I the only one uncomfortable that the government gets to define normal? And with that, everybody say, "See it before you see it." See it before you see it. I want you to see where we will be in conflict before we end up in conflict. I want you to see it before it happens. So I'll violate my own HIPAA up here just as an example. I ask you, what is your understanding of a disability? No matter what you say, you're right. Government says unable to perform normal, everyday activity without an accommodation. That's the rule. I stand before you with an awesome case of colorblindness. All of y'all are beautiful, and everybody in here rocking the same color to me. Do you understand me to have a disability? Can you feel it? Because in this moment, we are now in conflict. We weren't in conflict with how you understood it. I do understand we need a definition. But the minute somebody says, apply the rule, apply the definition to people, now we're stuck. So let's have a little fun with it. If you understand me to have a disability because I cannot see color, will you please name something normal every day that you can do that you believe I cannot do without help? Drive. That's awesome. Drive. So, I drive. I do have a driver's license. I did drive here tonight. There's like a 10-ton death box out there with 462,000 miles on it. I will buy a $20,000 watch before I buy a new car. You can judge me later, right? So, do you understand me to be driving this thing at 65 miles an hour, and I can't see stoplights? Do you think my driver's license tells you that? No. It doesn't. I'm going to have everybody in here scared to drive home. My driver's license does not tell you I can't see stoplights. Sometimes people go, well, Alonzo, that's why they're in an order. And I smile and I go, you think they did that for me? Anybody in this room ever driven west? Which way do their lights go? I'm taking your word for it. I don't know, right? I know they're angled like this, right? The Department of Transportation didn't call me and ask me, is that okay to change the order in the sun in your eye? I already can't see, right? Those signs are not that shaped for me. I'm colorblind, not shape blind. The words are not on there for me. I'm colorblind, not dyslexic, right? You can't think of a single accommodation that the Department of Transportation's made for me. And this is where I have to be able to say to family, I think all of us who drive need to get off our little privileged high horse about driving. What if it's not normal? If it were normal, can we agree the ADA would have something to say about me and behind the steering wheel? But they don't. Sometimes people go, well, how do you get dressed in the morning? And I go, well, that's a weird question. I get dressed the same way you get dressed. But what you saying, right? But listen, since we're family, I got to tell you, I cannot care any less about whether or not my clothes match. If you understand color coordinating clothes to be a normal everyday activity, tomorrow morning, meet me at Kohl's. Where's my section? You better not say big and tall. Can we agree there's no colorblind section? This is where I have to remind everybody, maybe color coordinating clothes is not normal. You do not match your clothes because you have to. You do it for each other. Some of y'all feeling me on that, right? Right? You don't do it because you have to, you do it for each other, which is why I laugh at everybody on Facebook who posts, I don't care what anybody thinks about me, and then spends 2 hours getting dressed. Who you doing it for? Right? Or I'll go walking out the house and my kids will be like, ooh, daddy, that's what we doing today? And then I'll turn like 12 years old. It's clean, ain't it? Here's where I'm going with this, right? I do not know how to say this like strong enough in a way that I want you to feel it. You are the safest place for me. You are the safest place for me. You're the safest place for my kids. You are. So in your space, you are the last space that I feel good about people not imposing and enforcing their understanding of what's normal. Because half the stuff people name isn't normal anyway. So, I love the spring and the fall, my two favorite seasons. Hey, Alonzo, we should go to Door County and watch all the flowers blooming and the leaves changing colors. Listen, I'm going to go with you, but the stupid leaves are the same color to me all year. Not going to ruin your joy, right? There are some things I can do and there are some things I can't do, and nothing you name is going to be normal. I will never be an electrician. Is that a normal, everyday activity? I will never get a pilot's license. I can join the military. You do not want me on the bomb squad. Right? But I will flex a little bias here because I be humble with it-ish. I believe myself to be the number 1 draft pick in all games in the woods. Go ahead, put on your little camouflage. Come out the bushes, dude. Leaves don't even look like that, right? I can pick out patterns faster than everybody in this room. All right, so that's how I show up. I said to you, I do my best work in spaces where I feel safe. It's the psychological safety part, right? And so if in order for me to protect my peace, I won't let people Google in my space. And it's not like I'm anti-Google. I'm just a big fan of people thinking for themselves first. I Google too, just not first, right? So can we agree if I were to ask you, what is your understanding of the word accountable or what it means to be accountable? It's possible I'm going to get 300 different answers, and you'd all be right. So what'd the government say? You ready? You are considered to be accountable, or the definition of accountable is in a position to explain the result or the outcome. That is all it means. In a position to explain the result or the outcome. If you are in a position to explain what happened, that is what makes you accountable. It doesn't say the one who did it. If you're in a position to explain what happened, when I ask that question, sometimes I'll get a lot of do what you say you're going to do. Own it. Keep your word. Oh, that's awesome. Ain't none of that in the definition. All it means is in a position to explain, but now word of caution, here's what I feel like we did to it. It has been my experience that the word accountable has now evolved to the preferred professional weapon of choice. It's now a weapon, and I'll prove it. You ready? By show of hands, how many people in this room have ever received the Most Accountable Employee Award? How many people can name somebody ever in any place you have ever worked that has a certificate that reads Most Accountable Team Member? Okay, now unless this is true, do not leave me on this island alone. I'll raise my hand first. How many people have ever said, I wish so-and-so would be more accountable for their work? There'd be better results if there was more accountability on that team. Weapon. I've worked with you 1 day, 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, 20 years. I believe myself to have been holding myself accountable every day. And the one time you feel like it's missing, that's the first time you put my name and accountability in the same sentence. That doesn't feel like something you want me to be anymore. It feels like a weapon, right? So family, I'm asking you, let's not weaponize the things we want from one another against each other, right? Let's not just use words like accountability and humility and empowerment only when we feel like it's missing. There's nothing inherently bad in any of the definitions. Here's how I understand the concept of humility. I understand it to mean, I know what I know rooted in my experience. And I know I have not experienced it all. That's what I understand humility to mean. I do not read anywhere in the definition that it says humility means to deny who you are, deny your truth, belittle your value. I don't read any of that. It just says you can have it, just put a comma at the end of it. For the visual learners in the room, it would sound like this. Because I travel a lot. If you ask me, hey Alonzo, who makes the best hamburger you ever tasted? I can answer that one of two ways. I could go, Burger King. And I can see how some of y'all might want to fight. Or I could answer it this way. Oh, best hamburger I've ever tasted. Well, in my experience, the best hamburger I've ever tasted is Burger King. Can you see how I'm not about to argue with you about that? But one of you is going to go, well, you haven't tasted my hamburger. And then I got to say it slower in my experience, right? But you look sick with it on the grill. Fire it up. Let me taste it, right? So you cook the burger. I'm eating it. I'm not going to lie. It was good. And with some humility, you're going to have to accept this still Burger King for me. You see how that works? I remember one time, every time I say mama, I need everybody to see her because I'm a visual learner. Mama is a little black girl born in 1928 in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Whatever that does for you. Black girl, Mississippi, 28. Great Depression train was on its way. Mississippi, okay? So I don't know what I was thinking one day, but I have a healthy ego. And on the basketball court, Mama was up in the stands. I was in the 8th grade, and I looked at my mom. I was feeling pretty good. I don't know what happened, but I winked at her. What? I was dribbling. I was like, Mama. She's like, boy, come here. Like all the bleachers parted like Moses, right? Because we know, right? So I'm halfway up the bleachers. She goes, no, you close enough, man. Listen, there's only 2 teams out there, the one that's humble and the one that's about to be. There's only 2 people in the room, the ones who are humble, the ones who know what they know, rooted in their experience, and they know they haven't experienced it all, and the ones who are about to be. Make sense? Let's be the ones who are humble. Let's not deny our understandings and our beliefs and our experiences. We can be and love who we are. And I'm going to just need you to put a comma at the end of it. That's it. And then empowerment. My understanding of the concept of empowerment is you can take action with information given. You can do something with it. Everybody put your best poker face on and do not point anybody out in the room. But you ever had a conversation with somebody longer than 10 minutes and walked away going, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. We just outing people, okay? I would say where the safety was gone is it lacked empowerment. I wasn't exactly sure what I was supposed to do with that. Anybody who talks to me for longer than 10 minutes and I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with it, that's a hostage situation, and I will not be taken hostage. I will jump out the plane. I'm not happening, right? So here, I want people to feel certain things, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it back to you in the spirit of empowerment. And I'm going to ask you a question. And my question is, what, if anything, have I shared so far do you believe you will remember a week from now? Real quick, did you catch the humility in my question? Or go right? What, if anything? The humility is in if anything, because the answer could be nothing yet. And I got to be okay with that, right? So give yourself 2 seconds, think about your answer, and then tell the person next to you, and then I'll bring you back. What, if anything, have I shared so far do you believe you will remember a week from now? Ready? Go. Well, everyone... There is another way that I could test safety in a room, and we're all family, so let's have a little more fun with it. If you have a cell phone, could you take it out for me? Please? I saw half of y'all playing Candy Crush. Quit playing. I know you got it. So if you could please take your cell phone out and then do whatever you need to do with your phone so that your camera's on, that'd be awesome. Turn your camera on for me. All right? And then like aim it at me. And then do whatever you need to do so that your camera's facing you, and take a selfie right now. Take a selfie. Take a picture. Don't be fixing hair. Just snap the picture. Just snap it. Just snap it. Just snap it. All right. Real quick. I need everybody to say funny till it's not funny. All right, at this point, if you want to delete the picture, that's fine. I'm not going to have you do anything with it. But I do want to point something out. Funny till it's not funny. I ask people to take a picture of themselves and they hit me with the stank face. I don't do that. Nah. Selfie, no, you put your phone down quick, right? Meanwhile, you've completely ignored the fact that for over an hour I got to stand up here and look at you. If you don't want to look at you, I don't want to look at you either. This is the part you can turn your little chair around for all I care. Can we agree you have no idea what you look like to me right now? Right? And I have no idea who I look like to you right now. Half of y'all thinking, how did Sue get LeBron James to give her like, now you can't unsee it, right? Now you can't unsee it. Can we agree for the most part, the first thing we do is we respond to what it is we see. I respond to what it is I see. What I'm interpreting may not be real, but this is what I'm telling myself. Now, I'm the Black Bruce Wayne. I exercise privilege every chance I get. Please do not mimic my behavior. I got issues. Okay. You ever walked into an establishment for service and you got greeted with a stank face? Like, welcome to, can I help you? I take out my phone and I go, shh. Now with this face you can't. Now, how do they feel about that? And then I delete it right in front of them. But here's where it's funny, till it's not. Because I will look at them and say, I am sorry that nobody on your team has not found it safe enough to tell you that that's how you're greeting people who came here not to see you. How many times have you not gone back to someplace because of how you were greeted? How many times have you not come back because of the face people had walking around in the building? And you weren't there to see any of them. And that's where, family, I'm recommending everybody in here find their accountability partner. Like, find the person, like, okay, listen, this is how it would work. Let's say you're my accountability partner. I'd be like, hey, I'm on my way to that meeting with Sue. How's my face? And then the other person goes, you look really upset. But what if I'm not really upset? Or what if this isn't the time to walk in looking like I'm upset? Because it could go the other way too. Wow, you look super happy about going into that meeting. What if this is not the happy meeting? I didn't know I had permagran on a meeting that I probably shouldn't walk in being happy about what happened. Fair enough. But what I didn't know is that's what I was projecting. And this is where we got to balance it, right? We check in on our partner and we go, hey, are you good? And then the other person gets an attitude, I'm fine. Why? Did you not see your face the last 90 minutes in that meeting? That's your fine face? Because all of us think you mad. So the accountability partner is a funny till it's not funny thing. Agreed? So I recommend you find your accountability partner. Hey, listen, what you telling yourself about my mood? What are you telling yourself about how I'm feeling? What are you telling yourself about my energy? And it allows me the opportunity to adjust. All right. I'm going to put a question up on the screen. When you have the question memorized, I want you to look at your neighbor and repeat it without messing it up. Which wristwatches are Swiss wristwatches? You do it. All right. There's a little bit of a neuro-linguistic trick happening I'd just like to point out to everybody. The short version is this. Please remember you are wired to mimic. You are not wired to follow instructions. You're wired to mimic. So here's what I did. I'm going to tell you what I did. I put the question up there and you started reading it, right? And then I did this. So I'm going to put a question up on the screen. When you have the question memorized, I want you to look at your neighbor and repeat it without messing it up. Which wristwatches are Swiss wristwatches? You do it. And then you just immediately started talking and half the words sounded like shh. But here's the instruction a little slower. When you have it memorized, I'd like for you to look at your neighbor and repeat it without messing it up. I didn't say anything about doing it like me. I didn't say do it as fast as you can. I said without messing it up. The problem is you heard me do it and then your brain launched into that's the pace. So we're going to do it again. And I'm going to do it the exact same way. And what I want you to do is give yourself permission to fight it. Fight me. Fight the pace. Fight what you're hearing. I want you to give yourself permission to follow the instruction. Everybody ready? Here we go. Hey, I'm going to put a question up on the screen. When you have the question memorized, I'd like for you to look at your neighbor and repeat it without messing it up. Which wristwatches are Swiss wristwatches? You do it. Okay. If some of y'all still messing it up, I got nothing. I got nothing. If your pace is which wrist watches are Swiss wrist watches, it was perfect. It was perfect. I can't be the only one whose mama or somebody said, if you do not have the time to do it right, or when will you have the time to do it over, which usually takes twice as long. If you do not have the time to do it right, when will you have the time to do it over, which usually takes twice as long because now you got to undo it, right? Here's my recommendation for what you do with that. Please give yourself permission to move at a pace that works for you, that allows for you to get it right the first time. Please move at a pace that works for you, that allows for you to get it right the first time. If I'm brand new and you put me next to somebody who's been doing it for 20 years, how long until I start to question my ability because I can't do it as fast? Right? So I need people to step in and be like, you're doing great. Move at a pace that works for you, that allows for you to get it right the first time. So, we good? Real quick, pace. We good? Everybody good? All right. So here's what you're looking at. There is a box of matches on a bench, a candle in the middle, and a fire extinguisher on a motorcycle. Matches, candle, fire extinguisher. Breathe the picture in. Give yourself 2 seconds to think about it. And then share with the person next to you what is your understanding of the story that explains this picture. For everyone's safety, please start with, here's my understanding. So nobody can argue with you. Okay? What is your understanding of the story that explains this picture? Matches, candle, fire extinguisher. Ready? Go. How many people by show of hands have some version of he lit her fire, but she went for the bad boy? Okay. That's awesome. You know what I saw when I first got this picture, which is why I originally used it? I see a father, a daughter, and a boyfriend. Oh. So here's what's cool about what just happened. Can we agree we're all looking at the same picture and we may not be telling ourselves the same story? So then which story is the right one? Please never forget that. We are all looking at the same thing. We are not telling ourselves the same story, and they're all true if that's how you understand it. We will be in conflict if we're going to fight about what the right story is. Where we won't be in conflict is, help me understand how you see it. And then we talk about that one. Help me understand how you see it. And then we talk about that one. But word of caution, sometimes I think you forget how brilliant you are and how fast you process information. I said I see a father, a daughter, and a boyfriend. Some of you have only known me for about 45 minutes. Which one are you assuming I'm talking about as dad? All I know is I never said. I said father, daughter, boyfriend. And it's at that point it takes discipline to say, not my story. I should ask him who's who. That takes discipline. It's not my story. I should ask him who's who. Can we agree if Candles is dad? I'm sorry, if Matches is dad, that tells a different story than if Fire Extinguisher's dad? Would tell a different story than if Candle's dad? Remember, it's not your story. I got 3 options, right? Here's another story. What happens if you leave a candle lit forever? I'm with, who got the award? We talked about long hair and motorcycles, right? That's my dude, right? I ride a motorcycle too. Why is everybody on a motorcycle a bad guy? If Fire Extinguisher doesn't show up, Candle dies. Not there to hurt Candle, there to save Candle as far as I'm concerned. The Matches is the toxic one in this picture. Now, is my story wrong or better than yours, or is it simply another one? It's simply another one, and I use this picture all the time to point out, this is why I'm not going to argue with you. You understand it how you understand it, and you see it how you see it, and I'm going to let you have it. I just need you to put a comma at the end of it. Make sense? Here's a little subtle aside. Sue has this PowerPoint, and I would love for all of you to have it, so you should blow up her email tomorrow and be like, send Alonzo's PowerPoint. Like, it's not a big super secret document. All of you can have it and have fun with it however you want. Here's another quick thing for you. I can find a lion in a zoo, in a circus, and in the wild. Zoo, circus, wild. Which one is the real one? Whoever said that, whatever you said is right. The way you understand it, right? I want everybody to hold on to that, and I'm going to introduce myself in another way that I never do first because I want to feel good about the room, and I feel good about the room. So I'm going to introduce myself in a way that's not on Google, okay? But I do want you to hold on to this question. So if I were to reintroduce myself, it would start like this. It would start with a question. What happens when a person feels they've lost both base and place? And then where do they belong? What happens when you lose both base and place? And then where do they belong? So hold on to the question. Think about the lion. Here's what's not going to show up in Google. I spent the first 10 years of my life in Detroit in 9 different foster homes. I don't know what your first 10 years were like. Mine had 10 families. For purposes of this conversation, you should know that 8 of those families were white. Okay? They were white. I failed first grade. It's okay to laugh at that. What do you got to not know in the first grade? For color? Whatever, man. Right? He doesn't know his colors. Do it again. Right? Mama said, no thank you, Detroit public school system. Mama still had decision authority over what schools I went to. So Mama had me bused to the next nearest private school. You remember who Mama is though, right? She was never comfortable reading the fine print in contracts. Here's what Mama didn't realize she was doing. She was sending me to a school for the next 8 years of my life where I was the only black kid in that school and the mandatory language was Polish. My second language is Polish, and I bet none of y'all would have guessed that. I do know this, though. Invite me to your next Polish fest and watch the buffoonery that erupts. The coolest man in my life was Father Stan. I wanted to be Father Stan so bad. Remember my story. He's the most consistent man in my life. In the early 80s, for those old enough to remember, Pope John Paul II made his only visit to the United States in the 80s. His first stop, Hamtramck, Michigan. Because of the Polish community, I got to be an altar boy for the Pope. There were 5 million people at that mass, and 4.9 million were hitting each other. Like, y'all see that, right? Right? I wanted that. I wanted to be him, but I don't know if you're aware of this. If that is your calling, at 13, I left Detroit and came to Wisconsin to be a priest. I attended St. Lawrence Seminary High School in Mount Calvary, right outside of Fond du Lac. I lived on a hill with 280 other boys for 4 years. I've never been to a homecoming. I've never been to a prom. I don't understand any of that. If you had a girlfriend at my high school, you got kicked out. okay? Now we're going to fast forward a little bit because we family. Senior year, puberty hit, and I renegotiated the life plan. I called Father Stan like, hey, you don't what? Like ever? I had God on speed dial. It was a rotary. There's got to be another way. Not a priest. I got some habits. We can talk about it at the bar. Okay. I decided to leave St. Lawrence and go to Marian College in Fond du Lac, where for 2 years, I was the only black person on that campus. So if I were a cup, let's say I got 16 cups of white. When I go back to Detroit, am I received the same way I left? Probably not. Can we agree I got a couple nicknames? Where you been, white boy? Sellout, Uncle Tom. Can we agree I get hit with some questions? Why you talk like that? Why you dress like that? You eat what now? I left Detroit in my Mercury Topaz with bullet holes in it, with the windows down, jamming a Run DMC and EPMD. 1996, I graduated from college. I go back to Detroit in my Eddie Bauer Ford Explorer with the windows down. Welcome to the jungle! We got... And then wonder why my truck got stolen. So here's the question, right? Which one is the real one? I go to Detroit, I'm not black enough. I live in Swamico, they can't stop pointing it out. Remember the question, what happens when a person feels they've lost both base and place? And I'm going to go back to what I said to you. You are now the safest place for me. The why is the safest place for my kids. And it's funny till it's not. So I would like to believe that when I ask you which lion is the real lion, you would have said all of them. But now ask a little kid which one is the real lion, and in my experience, little kids go, I'm not going to talk about other people's kids. Let's talk about my kids. Here's the family situation. Married with 3 kids. So black dude from Detroit marries white girl from Shawano. So Tupac and Mary Poppins procreated. Picture those kids, right? And then, so we have a 22-year-old daughter named Trinity, senior in college. Trinity. I went to the seminary. Act surprised, okay? A 16-year-old junior in high school, Mondis, my government name. And then he just turned 7. A 7-year-old first grader named Jarrell. Where are my DC Comics fans? Who's Jarrell? Superman's dad, right? I turned 50 a couple weeks ago. You make a baby in my house at 43, you get a Superman name, bro. That's how I roll. Right? Welcome to my house, right? So let's talk about Jay for a minute. Let's talk about Jarrell. I asked Jarrell, hey Jarrell, which lion is the real lion? And he's like, Daddy, everybody knows the real lion is the one in the zoo. Help me understand that. And this is what it boiled down to. His only experience with a lion is in the zoo. So that's the real one. His only experience with a lion is at a zoo. So I can't wait to take him to Africa and let him see a lion out there. And I'm anticipating he's going to do this. Daddy, what's wrong with those wild lions with no manners out here? They don't even eat they salad. Really? Lions don't eat salad, bro. That's a zoo. Whatever, right? The point in that is, you know what's real to me? What I experience. He's not wrong. So now every lion from that point forward is being measured against the one he knows. I'm asking you to join me in helping people have new experiences. Change their perception of what's normal and what's real, right? Because they're all real. I'll give you one more quick example. Everybody knows Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right? Can we agree that Will is black? Can we agree that Carlton's black? Carlton standing next to Will is black, but he ain't. Let's do it this way. You ever notice how people say a word twice as if saying it twice is a whole new degree of it? Like, think about the weather today. Like, it was cold, but it wasn't like cold. Like I can see it on some of your faces, like some of y'all hungry, but I'm not like hungry, right? You had a crazy long day at work. You just want to go home, kick your feet up, but your best friend calls and says, we should go for a walk. It's the last thing you want to do, but these are your people, right? And you go, okay, we'll go for a walk, but how far? And they go, well, far, but not. Not like far. How far is far, okay? No, none of that show up on the treadmill, right? Far, okay. But now here's where it's funny till it's not funny, right? I go back to Detroit. Family, friends, everybody who knows me best. Why you treat me this way? And well, because Zoe, you different. What you mean I'm different? Well, you changed. What do you mean I changed? Well, I'm still black. Well, yeah, you black, but you ain't. Real talk. So now what's black? Can you imagine that pressure? But let's make it about everybody. Well, yeah, she's smart, but it ain't like she's smart. Yeah, she's pregnant, but it ain't like she's pregnant. What's pregnant? Right? The kid's parents were born in India. They move to the Fox Valley, right? The parents live in India. They come to the Fox Valley. They have kids. As this kid is growing up, their classmates are going to go, your parents are Indian. You're not. Everybody does this standard thing on who's real, right? And I'm asking you in your spaces, as best you can control, everybody who walks through that door is real. Listen, I'm Catholic, but I ain't. All right, a couple more examples. We doing all right? We good? We doing all right? All right. I want to introduce you to a quick model of trust. This is how it works for the visual learners. If you draw a triangle and you put one of these C words on every point of the triangle, it would work like this. Trust is in the middle. When we engage in dialogue, is it both honest and true? Communication. When we talk, is it both honest and true? You do know those don't mean the same thing, right? You know those people who do this? Can I be honest with you? And then 10 minutes later, they go, okay, fine, you want the truth? First, stop doing that to people. But on a deeper level, have you been lying to me for 10 minutes? Or is there something different about the communication? I'll just give you the answer. Honesty is the selfish one. This is how I understand it. This is how I feel about it. This is what I prefer. That's honest. How many of us have ever made an honest mistake? Based on how I read the situation, this is what I thought you wanted me to do. My bad. Right? Truth has nothing to do with you. Is it measurable? Is it verifiable? Is it data? When we engage in dialogue, do I get both? If I do, I'll trust you. Competence. Do you have the knowledge, skill, and ability to do what it is you say you're going to do? If you have the knowledge, skill, and ability to do it, I tend to trust you a little more. And then contract. Do you keep your word? Do you keep your word? And so all of that is one understanding of the trust model. So for the visual learners, this is what it would look like. Every time Jay sees me with my luggage, he goes, Daddy, do you want me to walk the dog while you're gone? Because I can walk the dog while you're gone. And what I say is, man, I appreciate that. That's just not something I trust you with yet. Now, can we agree if I make that comment in the general public is going to form an opinion of what they think my relationship is like with this 7-year-old, and most are going to go, oh, I wonder what he did. Nothing. Let's work the model. Okay? When he said he was going to do this volunteer chore and walk the dog while I was gone for a few days, did I believe he was being both honest and truthful? I'm comfortable with the rate. He was being honest and truthful about a volunteer chore. Contract. Did I believe he was going to keep his word? For a 7-year-old, like, I'm with it. Competence. Before I give you that one, let me introduce you to the dog he volunteered to walk. I would like everybody to meet Bruno. We gonna talk about Bruno. This picture was a month ago. Bruno is 9 months old. That is a 150-pound bull mastiff puppy, and I live in the woods. Do I believe my son had the knowledge, skill, and ability to walk a 150-pound toddler that chases everything that moves without adult supervision? No, but you know what I didn't say? Man, you're not competent enough. What I said is, man, that's not something I trust you with yet. Could you imagine as an adult, I say to you, I just can't trust you on that team. But I don't say where? You get to catastrophize that. You can take that the worst way possible. I'm going to assume you called me a liar. What if that's not it? What if I'm just not consistent with getting you what I say I'm going to get you when you need it? You with me? So I'm recommending from a professional development standpoint, if we're going to use these words, let's go a little deeper on it and show me where my blind spot is. What do I need to do to build a little more trust with you? Cool? All right. Clever thing about this, I'm not going to do the whole 5 generations working side by side thing, but I will introduce it this way. It has been my experience, and the way that I understand it, it takes 2 generations to forget and 3 to not care. It takes 2 to forget, 3 to not care. So let's use a couple tangible examples. Let's use Mama for a second. Mama was born in 1928. Can we agree that Mama studied World War II? You gotta say yes. She gave birth to my mother in 1950. Yes, my mother studied World War II, but not like her mom. My mother knows way more about Vietnam than she knows about World War II. I was born in 1974. Yes, I studied World War II. Not like my grandma. I know way more about Operation Desert Storm than I know about World War II. Then my generation has children. Yes, they studied World War II, but not like their great-great-grandparents. They know way more about September 11th than they know about World War II. Now, I just shared with you I have a 7-year-old. Look me in the eye and tell me you think he's going to care about World War II in 10 years. He's going to care, just not like great-grandma. Here's where the problem comes in. Jarrell and his generation walks in the room with grandma and great-grandma, and great-grandma goes, you kids don't care about nothing. They do care, just not like us. Some of us, right? Real talk. How many people woke up today caring about the pterodactyl? How many of you were on your walk and you're like, I really want to enjoy this, but that's so sad that the pterodactyl can't be out here. Now, do you care about the dinosaurs? I mean, like, I care, but I don't like. Right? All I'm saying is, let's not aim at each other, right? Let's not aim at each other. That's one way to look at that. So, as I close, I want to point something out to you. I'm not laughing at people at the Y, but I'm laughing. Okay, I'm laughing at them. But let me tell you what I'm laughing at. It is my understanding that 70% of all injuries for mountain climbers happens on the way down. If you're going to climb a mountain and get hurt, it's not going to happen on the way up. It's going to happen on the way down. And if I were to ask you why, all your answers would be real. Like gravity's real. All that stuff, right? The energy. And this is what I'm laughing at. I watch people show up in their matching outfits at the gym. Whatever that means, right? It's clean, ain't it? So they get on the treadmill and they punch in their time. Boop, 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 boop. I'm going to go for 20 minutes. And then the machine starts counting, right? And then it gets to 0, and I stop what I'm doing, and I grab my water bottle, and I watch, because this is my favorite part. All the machines go, cool down. Everybody goes, stop. And then gets off the machine and walks away like this. What do you think the cool down is for, bro? Right? They didn't get hurt running for 20 minutes. When did they get hurt? When they got off. If you've been driving all day and you get into a car accident, where are you most likely to get into that car accident? If you run a marathon and have a heart attack, where are you most likely to have that heart attack? Where in the race? Finish line. please keep in mind as we go about accomplishing these goals, and I saw the strategic priorities, I'm actually not worried about you achieving them because I know you're going to do it. We're the why. I worry about the next day, though. All the energy it took, all the resources it took, do we have enough now to keep it going and sustain it? Fair enough? Last one, and then I'm getting out the way. I'm going to save you a question if you ever find yourself on a game show. The second largest organism on the planet is the Pando forest. Pando forest. It's in Fish Lake National Park in Utah. It is estimated to be about 1 million years old. It is 40,000 trees approximately. Here's the cool thing. These 40,000 trees are genetically identical twins. So how's that possible? Genetically identical, all 40,000 of them. Well, step out of it. When you're stuck, step out of it. What do you need to have genetically identical babies? You need the same what? Okay, let's go back to the trees. What are they all sharing? The same root. I'll let you decide if this is one tree with 40,000 branches or a forest. I'm not going to debate that with you, right? But I want to give you a couple things about it as a cautionary tale. This forest, if you Google it later, you'll notice that some of these are at the top of the hill, in the middle, and the bottom. We can agree that then these trees have their own ecosystem. The trees over here need something a little different than the trees in the middle, need something a little bit different than the ones at the bottom, right? They do what they all need to do to survive, but at no point do they get to forget they're connected. What the ones at the top do affect the ones over here and in the middle, right? So the views expressed on the show do not necessarily reflect the views and attitudes of anybody and everybody who looks like me. This is just your brother Alonzo Kelly speaking. Listen, I think the planet would be perfect, but for us. That's how I feel about it. Here's what we decided to do, okay? There's this beautiful forest there, this awesome thing of nature, and we wanted to enjoy it, but we didn't want to walk it. So we cut a road through it. What do you do to a forest in order to lay a road? It's not just cut down trees. What else you got to cut? So what do we do to the forest? For convenience. So we can enjoy it for convenience. That's what we did to the forest. And I want to point out to you, whenever I think about the why, there's only one why. With 40,000 genetically identical twins living in their own ecosystem. You have an ecosystem here that is different than the ecosystem of the Y in my backyard, which is different than the ecosystem of the Y in Detroit. But at no point will this work if the experience I'm having in Howard is different than the experience I have with you, is different than the experience I have on the road. And the only way to destroy this thing is to cut so deep that you forget what you do affects the whole. I'm not going to go away saying, here was my experience at Fox Cities. I'm going to tell everybody in Detroit, I don't know about those Ys in Wisconsin. You see what I'm saying? I don't talk about unique. I talk about the Y as a whole. And so I do want to let all of you know I see you. I do see you. And even though I know a lot of words, I've not found the right words yet to let you know what you do for me and my family. You're the safest place for me. You are now my base and my place and where I feel like I belong. So when my kids want to go do something after hours, yeah, you can go to the Y or you can kick it with me. I'm not offended they go to you. All right. It has been an absolute honor and a privilege to be invited into your space this evening. Thank you.